Originally, I think Korea was originally under German occupation. Originally, well, the Germans were there, and maybe some Russian influence. I'm not exactly sure. Like I said, I had them building armored cars and some other stuff. And the problem, I believe, was with starvation stuff was, well, there was an opium problem there, although they were hiding it. And there was also some other problems there um, with, what was it? I forget. There's a couple drug dealers or couple drug cartels, or at least really bad people there. They had bad management basically, and that all ended somewhere around. Well, I had a beautiful white city there. Coming out of 1890 or so, I had this beautiful white city, all white city, and it was gorgeous there. And basically, I think I forget exactly who did it. JFK or someone went through and they basically burned my city. It was beautiful and gorgeous, and there was lots of happy people there. And they went through and they basically, I think it was might be the beginning of what is Harlem and Wolf Brown. Basically, they started shelling and attacking the city, and there's photos and pictures of it. Basically, they basically burned the whole city, destroyed the whole thing. It was gorgeous there and rather nice and really nice, and they basically just destroyed the city. I was really upset about it. And then, like I say, there were other problems with drug cartels or whatever being in there, and pretty much they were lying to them. Like I say, I spent quite a bit of money, millions of dollars, basically renovating it and having it fixed up and modernized. And then somebody went in there, like JFK or someone, basically, and or like Biggie or some black person, basically started like micromanaging it. And like I say, Korea has been under many bad influences. Basically, the last guy, like Jim Kung Yen's father, was a fairly modern person and embraced technology and modernism, and actually began the cleanup and fixing of what is Korea somewhere around 1920 or so. Let's say there was some bad people there. The square right there is actually like 6 meters or a huge amount of concrete. And there's actually like I believe it's divided up into basically family living quarters. It's basically a family living quarter bomb shelter for whole families in there. There's like a big mine, I think, underneath there, and there's like this section that is basically like underneath the big square. Originally, I think it might have been missile silos or something like that, and I was like, I don't really want missile silos anyway. So I think they turned it into family living quarters, bomb shelters, something like that, and or something. And because originally it was this big field of missile tubes or something like that, and I wanted a missile base at one point in time, and I was like, don't really need a missile base. Anyway, it got carpet bombed and all kinds of stuff, and I think they turned it into basically family living quarters or something. The whole place was, well, what it was I think there was a big mine underneath, and then the roof was collapsing or something like that. So they basically decided to rip it all out and or blast it out and basically re-pour this huge lid of concrete on top, like 8 meters of concrete or something like that, and turn it into basically a family living place, bomb shelter thing. Anyway, besides, I think I forget what it was. We had this great big mine in there somewhere, and it might have been an open pit mine. I don't know. You'd have to go back hundreds of years. Um, but and during the war, we were there being bombed. Some British and some other people were hiding there. Like a couple hundred British and a couple hundred Germans. I mean, basically they were just inventors and engineers, and they were actually helping there and actually being paid by me, I believe, to be there to help them modernize and fix things up and stuff like that. Anyway, though, it was a long project that basically undertook, and basically they were a production facility pretty much, and basically a base really that just got really big. like I said, a lot of people went there basically because they didn't want to be bombed or killed or hurt, and because a lot of people started snuggling up against my bases because my bases were like basically like where civilization was being protected, where laws were paramount, basically. And because like all my bases were checked up on like yearly and everything. Like I was safeguarding people, basically. I didn't. People didn't want to be overrun by mobs of other people that were just going to take their stuff. So, order, reason, and rules and laws, basically. And for a while there, there was basically chaos all across the world. Survival of the fittest for a while there. And it was really bad. Anyway, a lot of people died. And like I say, at one point in time, Nixon or someone basically someone used to live nearby there, and they were taken hostage. And like I say, one of the bad people from Africa that was over there, like ruling Africa, I think, tried to move in or moved in to Korea, and was like they would go out there and do their public speeches or whatever, and just behind the double doors was basically like the Black Army or something, and like nobody knew it or whatever. And then I found out about it, and I was like having them taken out because like they were basically just they were turning Korea into slaves. It's like they're not your slaves. It is my base and my people that were there. And they were there to live a good life. They just wanted to live a good life, and they're not Nixon slaves, they're not John McCain slaves, they're not Trump slaves. They're free people that want to just live on their own and not be other people's slaves. Anyway, and they're doing, they had a nice little theme park and everything. It was just like a fair and open society. So anyway, some people were going over there saying that they controlled or they owned. It's like, no, I own. I'm Lucifer, not other people. Anyway, and they had rules and regulations, and they were very happy on their own until somebody decided to try and carpet bomb them. Anyway, well, I mean, Mr. Brown, and anyway, it got bad for a little while there. And there was this huge war, and anyway, I don't know. I invented tanks and was selling them to people and stuff, so of course they're going to be misused. Anyway, and I don't know. Anyway, they're still alive, so, and it looks really nice and clean and orderly, so I guess they're okay. Anyway, I cared about my people a great deal. And for a while there, women were being treated like sex slaves, and like women would sit on a bicycle seat, and it was rigged with explosives so it'd explode, because women wanted to have rights and wanted to be able to be educated and learn, and just right to choose their man, but which they should have right. I mean, I want women to be happy.